Just last week, through the post, came HeroQuest, high adventure in a world of magic, for ages 14 plus. Why did it come through the post? Well, quite obviously, I paid for it. But why did I pay for it? Because I grew up with the original HeroQuest. And I thought, when it came up for the Hasbro's own Kickstarter type system, which in the UK we had to get through Zavvi, I thought, yes, I will put money on that because it looks pretty darn true to the original. And well, when it turned up, I thought, well, hey, it's here, and then I saw pre-orders going up for next year for it to go out to shops. So I'm thinking, oh, well, do those people who are potentially going to look at the shops and see this, are they going to know what's inside? Well, probably, because they'll just look at the back of the box. But I thought to myself, but why don't I do a kind of an unboxing? But then I realised I am an emotionally stunted autistic bastard, and my reactions would be very, very dull. So instead, have a slideshow of really poorly made pictures from my shitty camera and me narrating over them. So, yeah, let's get started. So, first up, the box contents. As you can see, it is a fully encompassed game. There's nothing else you need here. You've got a dungeon, you've got heroes, you've got monsters, you've got funky little cards with artwork on, with things like heroic brew and broadswords and all that fun jazz, as well as nice little bits of plastic furniture and a DM screen to hide behind, so those pesky heroes can't look at the map. Well, each one of those I will get into, well, let's say most of them I'll get into individually in a moment. But first, I was a little bit disappointed that there are no instructions on the inside of the box lid. Very disappointed. But there are very good reasons for that, to be honest with you. And the main one is that you don't actually have to build anything, which kind of defeats the purpose of having building instructions. But there we go. So, inside the box, you've got two plastic trays, really. I would say two smaller boxes, but it's not two smaller boxes. It's two plastic trays that have various things in. The top one has a fairly wide selection of the various miniatures. Now, it said there's 70 plus plastic miniatures, but as you can clearly see here, there's not 70 minions and evil monsters. No, there are 70 plus plastic miniatures, not monsters. But yeah, you've got the basic selection here. However, there is a bit of a problem I did notice when I unboxed this, and that was with the Dread Warriors. Now, the plastic of these trays is actually stronger than the plastic of the miniatures, and as such, stuff like this happens. That is a bent mace straight out of the box, because the plastic moulding of the tray it went into was tougher than the miniature and bent the mace. Thankfully, these are soft plastic, so you can get around that problem by heating it up, preferably with a mug of boiling water, dip the top of the miniature in, and then realign it and wait for it to cool down, and then it will solidify in a new space. But do not then put it back in the tray, or you'll get the exact same problem straight again. But saying that, the various miniatures, the quality of them does look to be very good from what I can see. We have various things like the Dread Sorcerer, the Dread Warrior that I was just showing you a close-up of the mace of, some sort of fish man, goblins, we've got orcs, we've got mummies, we've got zombies, we've also got skeletons that I didn't take a photo of. And of course we have the heroes. And you can see there that the barbarian sword is also bent out of the box. On a side note, when I was getting out the skeletons in order to start painting them, again, the plastic tray was so tight around them that the spine of one of the skeletons bent as I was taking it out. Now, while it did end up having him in a slightly different pose to the others, which is pretty cool, it would potentially have also snapped on getting it out, which would have not been cool. So, once again, if you do get it, watch out for getting the miniatures out of the actual packaging. But enough of the minis, we've got dice. The good old dice of the original, where we have, again, we've got the white combat dice, we have the red movement dice. Not shown here is the one side of the white movement dice. That is a skull. Now, I'm not going to go through the game rule system here, because that's not the purpose of the video. But, suffice to say, the white dice are what you roll when you're actually trying to fight something. The red dice are what you roll when you're trying to move something. Nice, simple, don't need to get anything more beyond that. In the second tray, you've got the rest of the 71 plus miniatures. And as you can see down here, a good number of those 71 plus miniatures are doors. There's a couple of other bits and pieces in here. You can see a torture rack, you can see a weapons rack, cards, character sheets as well, but they're not miniatures, so, you know, treasure chests and things, along with some other bits and bobs, like skulls, like rats, which in the old system you could actually attach to the various bits of furniture, but in this one you cannot. They do not have pegs in which to attach them to the plastic furniture. If you want them in the dungeon, you just have to either put them on the floor or balance them on the furniture and hope nobody knocks the table. But yes, the doors. In the original you had not this, you just had a plastic base and a cardboard piece that you put in there to represent being open or closed. This is potentially, to my mind, a bit better in that you can't really lose the bit of the door which is required to tell you whether it's open or closed. You have an open door miniature and you have a closed door miniature. Or I say you actually have several in there, as you saw in the previous screenshot. Again, with these, they are soft plastic. They're not super soft plastic, but they are soft and stuff can happen to them. Like, for example, here, it's a bit difficult to make out, but this is the cupboard. And in the center of the top of the cupboard, there was a piece of plastic that had been sliced into, and I had a spike of plastic coming off. I've broken it off to save myself stabbing myself in the thumb with it at some future point when I'm not being careful. But again, that was an issue I had. I have not looked at the rest of the various pieces yet. There might be more damage to them, I don't know, but for the most part they're decent, but that can happen. But on to the map. Now, the map of the dungeon, it does remind me of the original. I don't have the original anymore. I got rid of it probably 2 moves ago. I honestly cannot remember. Most likely half of it got lost at some point, and the other half of it I just went, well, I'm not ever going to play this again, and chucked it away. But it's decent. It's a foldable thing. So it's not as big as it appears. It is a nice folding up map. And it's solid cardboard. But again, it's something you have to be careful with. And the old game did have this problem whereby if you are not careful with how you fold it up or how it's used, the 3 joins of the corners, because it is effectively 4 bits of cardboard joined together, they can potentially tear. Now, again, that's just something that you have to be careful with if you're going to be playing it. Don't fold it the wrong way; you will stress it and potentially cause damage. And the screen is a nice recreation of the original artwork, obviously changed in places because Games Workshop owns the rights to the Chaos things and the original appearance of the gargoyle, which was transitioned into being their Bloodthirster, and then they changed it, but not quite enough, but they changed it enough for it to still be technically their IP. So different specific art, but in the same overall image styling, which I do very much like. And yes, it's quite easy just to stand behind there and you go, well, I've got this, and it's got all the rules on the other side. And so you don't actually need to have rules cards. You do get rules cards, but you don't need them if you're the DM. Everything's printed on the back of the screen, which is very, very nice. You also get a bunch of tokens. Now, again, these are pretty much exactly what you got in the old one. You have the rulebook there, which is very, very thin, because you don't need many rules. You need rules on this is what you do in your turn as a hero. You can move, you can fight, you can search. That's about it. On to the next hero. The quest book, which has all the good old quests in it, including the blank map at the end to make your own, which I absolutely adore. And, of course, card tiles, because you can't have plastic everything. And imagine having not only plastic doors, but also little plastic walls to put in where there are no walls, so that the map changes each time you play. That would be something of an annoyance, I can imagine, whereby you can just go, well, here's just a token to say here's a secret door right there, bang, that's a wall there, bang, there you go. Yeah, it's nice and simple. Now, because I got the mythic pack rather than the basic, there are extra things, including the 2 of the original 3 quest packs or expansion packs. You had Keller's Keep, which Return of the Witch Lord here, but I think it was slightly different. I think it was like Return of the Demon Lord or something like that was the other one. And the third one had ogres in it. Now, I know ogres are not a Games Workshop property, however, it was something that they were designing the miniatures for. And the ogres had, the ogre pack had ogres that very much looked like a couple of generations ago Games Workshop ogres, as well as mercenaries that look very much like a couple of generations ago Games Workshop Empire infantry. So we've only got 2. We've got the Witch Lord and Keller's Keep, as well as the mythic box, which, as you can see on here, contains 4 heroes, 18 monsters, 4 extra white combat dice, 14 game cards, 4 character cards, cardboard game tiles, 3 quest books, and extra miniatures, because you can't have too many miniatures. The cards are fairly simple. It's, you've got some extra tokens, and you can put down an extra tile in order to change the appearance of the dungeon. Fairly simple. 3 quest books: Prophecy of Telor, Crypt of Perpetual Darkness, and the Spirit Queen's Torment. Each of these use new miniatures, which you get, thankfully, in the mythic box. I have no idea if these will be available or how, or if they will simply just be a, you did the Hasbro Kickstarter, that's what you get, no one else is going to get them. But here's the various miniatures you get in there. As you can see, there are various different ones. You've got, the mummies are pretty much the same. The aquatic life forms are the same. The undead are the same. You get a different gargoyle. You have a different look gargoyle. You've got a dragon. You've got extra different heroes. You've got a warlock. You've got a new wizard in there. You've got a druid. and different sculpts for the Dread Warriors and the Dread Sorceress. Or Sorcerer, rather, sorry. And again, the combat dice. This time you can see the white skull. But there you go. So that's what's in the main Mythic box. The extra heroes are Barbarian, Wizard, Elf, Dwarf, and homeless man holding a torch in the corner there. But they are alternate gender variants. So, if you want to have a female dwarf as your hero, there you go, female dwarf. If you want a female barbarian, there you go. It's there as an option. The stat lines are not any different to those of the male counterparts. They are simply an aesthetic change. And first box, Killer's Keep. Again, you've got a bunch of tiles in it. You've got magic spell, you've got various stairs that you can go up. Again, more blocks, trapdoors, and the broken puzzle, which I do remember was in the original, that you have to find throughout Killer's Keep in order to make a map, I believe, in order to get to where you need to go. Very, very nice. You have doors in both normal and evil variety. Again, a bunch of the standard miniatures. I believe these are the same as you get in the main box. There might be slight differences, but I believe they are. So you've got 3 different varieties of orcs. You've got 2 varieties of goblin and more fishmen. And that's about it from the Killer's Keep. Obviously, you've got the mission pack. But again, it's fairly small, fairly compact. That's what you got back in the day. Similarly, Return of the Witch Lord. I think it might be Return of the Witch King, the original one, which again, licensing issues. You've got a bunch of tiles. I fondly remember the Skull Room tile. I had that for ages, and so much so that I had forgotten what it was actually for. I had that kicking around, and I was like, I can't remember what this tile was for. It's for a board game, but I can't remember what one. And there you go. It's straight for there, and you got the rotation room again. More blockers, more secret doors, some graves, and more spell markers. More doors in both good and evil variety. More undead. Again, they are very much like the ones you get in the basic box. You just get more of them because the maps can have more of them in there. And that's it, really. Again, you get the missions, but it's fairly simple, fairly compact once again. Now, on to quite probably one of the most annoying things I have found with this box. And that was in the Mythic box, you get a dragon for one of these special missions. It was not assembled properly. And as far as I can tell, it's an injection molded rather than 3D printed and then assembled probably with glue, I think. But it's so dark to actually look in the various cracks, I can't really make it out. But this has not been built well. There are bad lines everywhere. It's like, well, it shouldn't really be too expected, really, but it's like they just had a production line. As you can see, you got a mold line down there, so they got the front half, they got the back half, and they stuck them together, and then they kind of tried to stick the spine on, and the spine didn't go well. And they tried to stick the wings on, the wings didn't go well. They tried to stick the head on, the head didn't go well, and they went, well, there you are, in the box, next one. Given everyone else is a single piece miniature, I would very much have liked it to have gotten the multi-part dragon either properly built or in parts so that I can build it myself. Either one of those two would have resulted in a lack of all these gaps all over the miniature, which I'm going to have to either try and pull it apart and rebuild it, or get modelling putty and fill in the gaps. And my sculpting skills are not that good. But there you go, that's what I got. I could have taken a lot more photos. I could have gone into a lot more detail on the various miniatures and how they look and all this and all that and all the other. But that's just not... Didn't have the room on in the memory of my camera to do that. So this is all you're getting. Overall, I think it's a very nice selection of things. You know, if you something to paint, yes, fine, but do get rid of the plastic containers if that is your goal for it. If you want to play games, that's cool, but do be careful when you're getting things in and out that you don't accidentally break them in the packaging. Is it worth the price? Well, I don't know what the price is going to be when it actually comes out, because I paid for the Mythic thing, and I it's subjective anyway, if you think how much it is. I mean, if this comes out at like 60 quid, do you think 60 quid is enough for all these miniatures and a game system that you can reuse over and over and over again to make as many different maps and as many different games as you like, with potentially infinite replayability? Yes, no, yeah, it's up to you. But there you go. That's HeroQuest. That's what you get in the box, plus the extra boxes, plus the mythic stuff, which I don't know if you're going to be able to buy. But there you go. Who knows? Hopefully, yes, you will be able to buy it, and hopefully we'll get a variant of the Ogre box that will come out as well. But who knows? That's all for the future. I'm going to go now.